Greetings and salutations, guys. Eric here with my review of Longlegs. This is an early review because this movie doesn't open for another month, but I actually saw it a couple weeks ago. Beyond Fest out here did a secret screening. A lot of us thought it was going to be Longlegs, some new horror movie. Turns out it was indeed Longlegs, and we got an introduction by Osgood Perkins alongside the man, the myth, the legend that is Nicolas Cage, who was rocking a spectacular jacket that is exactly the type of jacket you'd want Nicolas Cage to be wearing if you watched him introduce a movie. So while it's still in my mind rattling around, I want to do this review of a movie I really dug. I feel like the ads for this movie are a little misconstruing what it is, though, and I do wonder how it will land with people based on those ads, because I think the ads are selling it as just like unrelenting horror. And this is a horror movie, and there's some cool horror elements to it, but there's a lot of other elements to it too. And even the way it presents itself, I don't think is quite what you'd think from the trailers. Set in the 1990s, this is a movie starring Maika Monroe, has a FBI agent. She plays Lee Harker, who she has some interesting intuitions that might be hinting at something more going on with her that leads her to be put onto a case for Longlegs. This is a serial killer. That's the name that he has given himself, who has been killing people, killing families for decades now, in a very mysterious way. Raises a lot of questions. And this whole movie kind of operates on is there something supernatural going on, or how much of a supernatural element is going on that you kind of have to figure out as it goes along. So she is assigned to this case, starts investigating these murders through the decades. What connects them? What can she find as she does? And first and foremost, let me get out of the way the Silence of the Lambs comparisons. It's impossible, I think, to watch this movie and not think of Silence of the Lambs because it is this young female FBI agent in the 1990s. She's investigating these really gruesome murders. There's a certain look and feel even to the movie that definitely evokes Silence of the Lambs. I don't think it's a carbon copy, and I ultimately, by the end of it, felt it was doing something very different and had a very different vibe, but the comparison is there. And I think has to be sort of intentional and understood by writer-director Osgood Perkins. It's sort of a layer to the film. But the prologue is set in the 1970s and is very cool cinematically how that looks and feels compared to the rest of the movie, as we're establishing that Longlegs has been doing what he's doing for a long time. Longlegs, of course, is played by Nicolas Cage. The trailers have kind of disguised how he looks, his full look. And you can see he has long hair and he's kind of pale. I won't go into the specifics beyond that to say he looks weird. Also, as far as the performance goes, look, Nicolas Cage is a wonderful actor who can give very nuanced and very emotional performances. He can also go crazy, like crazy Nicolas Cage that we also know and love. This is definitely Nicolas Cage going big, which is what he's being asked to do here, because Longlegs is a crazy person and a maniacal person, and this is, Cage getting to kind of do his interpretation of a sort of Joker-esque villain, and guess what? He's great at it. And he's super creepy and super sort of, I say fun in a very dark, nasty way. This is a character that is supposed to be off-putting to anyone who encounters him, both because of how he looks, but also how he acts. And I think Cage does an excellent job of showing someone this unhinged and just sort of evil, in-your-face evil. But the lead of this movie is Maika Monroe, and she's excellent. I think she's always excellent. I mean, she had this incredible breakout year in 2014 where It Follows and one of my favorite movies, The Guest, opened very close to each other, and I feel like she should have had a bigger career from that. She got one studio movie with the terrible Independence Day sequel, and that was it. Now, she's still done a lot of good work since. A couple years ago, she starred in a movie called Watcher. Not the one called The Watchers in theater now, but a much better movie called Watcher that if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. She's great in that. But this is another terrific performance from her, and one that is very different from anything she's done before as far as how sort of quiet and interior this character is. Harker is a very sort of closed off person. It's a great counterpoint to what Cage is doing because he is just everything on the surface. he is going super big, and then there's this other character, the one who's hunting him, trying to stop him, and she is very quiet, very interior. I think she's excellent in the film, and once again, I wish nothing but the best for Maika Monroe and hope she keeps getting great roles like this, but also just even bigger, sort of high profile roles in movies. Although I think this has the potential to give her a lot more attention. The cast by and large is great. There's a couple of actors here that have been working steadily forever and always giving good performances, but I really like the spotlight they're given here. One of them is Blair Underwood, who plays Harker's superior and really the person who accompanies her for much of the film in the FBI. The character's name Agent Carter, popular name in fiction, and he's great and a very sort of warm, engaging presence in the film. Has her mentor figure, and we kind of see the bond that they form. And then Alicia Witt plays Harker's mother. It's a smaller supporting role, but she's terrific. They kind of age her up to play Maika Monroe's mom, but she is great, showing the troubles this woman has gone through and why that's made her sort of not a thorn in Harker's side, but something she kind of has to deal with, a burden. Is a really nice dynamic in the film as well. And then Kiernan Shipka has a brief but very crucial appearance. I did not recognize her, I have to admit. I was like, who's this girl? She's kind of familiar. It's freaking, Sally from Mad Men, and of course Sabrina playing one of the rare survivors of a Longlegs killing that Harker goes to speak to at one point. The movie, I think, by and large, is just very atmospheric and very sort of draws you in. It is very deliberately paced. I don't think it's slow paced. I think it's deliberately paced. The sort of sense of dread, ominous vibes as Harker goes along investigating these things, and then these moments of real horror, real terror, and the things she encounters. There's a couple of really great, sort of jump scare, scary moments in this movie. But like I said, I think the ads are selling it as unrelenting horror, and instead it's doing something different. Like I said, it's taking a step back for a lot of it and then making these big horror moments count. Also, there's a dark sense of humor to this movie I really appreciated. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is simply Harker sitting and talking to Agent Carter's young daughter. And because Harker is such a not a people person, it's a very funny scene, very wonderfully performed by Maika Monroe, as she's sort of trying to deal with this outgoing little girl who's being super friendly to her. And she's not being mean to the little girl. It's just energy that is hard for her to sort of process while she is trying in her way to be friendly to this very nice little girl. And that's a great scene in the movie that I think it garnered a lot of laughs from the audience I saw it with. And there's other things in the movie that have much more twisted laughs to it. And I think Osgood Perkins is, very wisely putting in these moments, because it's not what you're expecting, and when it happens and how it happens, this macabre sense of humor that I really appreciated. I talked to some people after the movie, and a lot of them loved this film, but then a couple of them were disappointed because I think, again, what they were selling in the ad campaign isn't quite what this movie is actually doing. But I think this movie, it really worked for me, and it really sort of stuck with me after, and I really like the vibe of it. I think it's Osgood Perkins has done several horror movies already that have put him on the map, but I think this is definitely a leveling up one. It's really impressive how he blends this FBI investigation movie with this undercurrent of a supernatural story into straight up scary horror. Really how he can build that tension, how he can sort of create this really wonderful horror world and sort of strike when the time is right. Yeah, I really enjoyed Longlegs, which opens on July 12th in theaters. Neon, I think, is doing a lot with the ad campaign. Like I said, maybe they're selling it a little differently than the movie is, but I think they are doing a pretty good job of hooking people with those ads and the mysteriousness around Nicolas Cage's character and all that. So I'm very curious how it'll be seen when it opens wide to everyone. But I'm hoping that for the most part it's received well, because I think this is a cool movie that is doing something cool in a genre that I think is great because it is so malleable and you can do so many different things in horror. And this one doesn't fit into one easy slot, and I like that a lot about it. So those are my thoughts on Longlegs, you can look for in July. Thanks a lot, guys, and take care.